This all started when the live-action Avatar was set to drop on February 22nd. I have a fiance that's never seen the show, so it was time to get watching. We had 2 months to get the 3 seasons watched, so I bring out the big flex, sat her down, and the first question I get was, why are there black bars? Now, of course she knows what they are, and I hope I'm not showing my age by saying I remember a world of 4:3 standard displays. But Avatar can't be that old, right? 2005 to 2008, that was Avatar's initial run. So when did television make the switch to 16:9 widescreen? Well, around 2003, some broadcasts were making the switch, but by 2012, practically everything was switched over. Now, Avatar does fall right on this cutoff, and it was being developed while the great switch was happening, or at least being planned. Even Teen Titans, that first aired in 2003, was produced in 69, and then just cropped off the edges for the initial 4:3 broadcast. Disney was likely in the same mindset, producing shows like 2002 Kim Possible in 69, but still aired them cropped. Unfortunately, cartoon channels compared to the rest of the industry did end up dragging their feet in the end. Disney started to make the switch in 2009, running their new shows and the reruns they prepared for in 16:9. Cartoon Network made the same switch in 2009, and Nickelodeon... So although Avatar could have been produced in 16:9, there could have been a couple reasons it never was. First, Avatar's composition is at the forefront of many scenes, and if they wanted to compose their shots for 16:9, the original 4:3 broadcast would have just cropped that artistic design right out. So it was either that, or simply Nick didn't think Avatar would matter in 5 years anyways, when widescreen reruns would actually be aired. So if the creators never made the show in widescreen, well, could the community? Well, this would be tremendous work, right? You can't really just zoom in, cut off the top and bottom, and call it a day. Far too many shots would get completely botched. You could instead take every scene, every frame, and draw on the rest manually, but even with a team of artists, this would be a massive undertaking. So this brings me to the title of the video. What about AI? Is it to the point it could do the bulk of the work for us? Really, as I'm writing this intro, I don't know. I guess probably not entirely, but I also know there's tons of AI image tools out there now, so there's really only one way to find out. Try it and see how far we get. I chose The Chase as the episode I will be working on, as it's one of my personal favorites, and I'm going to be staring at these clips for quite some time. Tackling the intro, we have 4 main scenes we need to work on: the establishing shot, the landing shot, the feet shot, the group shot, and the ink shot. Then I'm going to stop there and jump around the episode just so I get a wide variety of scenes. We will first jump into the group shot, as is the most straightforward shot. All the focus is straight in the middle, so all we have to do is get AI to draw in the sides. There are loads of image generators out there, but there's actually only a handful of image extenders that would be viable. They all do basically the same thing, but Runway had the best workflow, so I chose that. Here you can extend the image to your heart's content and even erase specific parts of the render to essentially try these parts again. Sounds great, but the worst part about these image extenders is that if you get too far from the original picture or ask it to do too much at once, it goes completely off the rails, and let me tell you, there are some creepy fever dream creations it spits out. But initially, it was the best I could find. So after quite a few attempts, this was actually looking promising. This thing could crank out some really convincing images. Really, if we weren't just like staring at it and working on it right now, I don't think I would ever notice the size for AI. I saved the image, made it 50% transparent, aligned it with the original footage over it, and then cropped and blended in the sides, and there you go, the first Avatar scene in widescreen.
That's not grass. Up is shedding.
Oh, gross.
So with this great start, I was ready to try the opening shot. So the biggest problem is movement. So every time the AI generates an image, it's going to be a little different, right? So generating a new image for each of these panning frames is going to create an AI video effect. You know, the ones that you see here and there that kind of have different images, flow, and abstraction. Fortunately, there is a solution here. Really, this is just one big long image that is panned. So I just snapshot different parts of this image, line it up and paste it all back together in an image editing tool. Then the AI generates some very convincing sides. I throw it back into the video editing program. I do the panning myself and add in a little lens flare that I don't really know how to use. Okay, so next the team lands and Toph enters the scene from the left. This means I can't really extend anything to the left, but the right I can, or I thought. The first problem extending only on one direction is that it gets real hard for the AI to keep on track. Another problem is now sure Toph is in the frame well, but the rest of the composition trails off into what's no longer Katara, but just empty scenery. Really, Toph and Katara both need to be on the edges of the scene for for it to work. But if we just zoom in to accomplish this, there's a new problem. Aang gets partially cut out. At this point, we're going to have to lose something. There's no perfect solution, and an artistic decision has to be made. So I do opt to move it down to cut out Aang completely, and then just moving the focus to Toph as she speaks. Okay, next we have the feet shot, which is really easy. It's just white on both sides, so we move on. Okay, so now we have the Aang shot, and the AI did a great job with this one, but this butterfly. The butterfly comes in from the right, so now it's appearing from thin air. Runaway has an AI tool that quickly masks this butterfly, and this butterfly only has 2 frames of animation, so I can get away with cropping out the 2 animation frames. And then this is helpful because with enough tinkering, I can animate the butterfly manually until it's synced up fully into the shot, and then I let the original shot take over. But then there was Momo, and of course, his ears. Momo isn't even in the focus of the shot, so I thought I could get by just by generating the rest of the ear, and it was a pain. And when I finally got something half decent, I realized, of course, it would warp the environment around it. So I had to go back and mask him out of the shot just to place him back in. This isn't ideal, and it would have been much better just have an actual artist do the ears. Okay, with the intro complete, I jumped to Iroh and Toph's talk to do a few more for good measure. I'm just gonna speed through these ones. I did end up switching to Canva at this time as it was more consistent, so faster. Last here is a close-up of Iroh, and because parts of him move at all sides of the frame, we can really only zoom in, which sucks, but there will be limitations. And speaking of limitations, I'm sure you've been wondering, what about action scenes? Yes, for action scenes, AI is not going to help. There's just too much movement with characters quickly coming in and out of frame. So is all hope lost? Not quite. See, if you were to simply zoom in, yes, that would ruin most action scenes, but what if we do manual zooming? This is where you take the fight shot by shot and determine if you should move the frame up or down and by how much. You can even reframe within the same shot without the viewer noticing, as long as it's accompanied by a burst of action or camera movement. So now what you're seeing is the climax with manual smart zooming versus just setting your TV to zoom in the middle. Some will say it still looks too suffocating, and at times I do agree, but really I will say after working on this project and seeing Avatar in widescreen, watching it back in 4:3 kind of makes everything look suffocating, unfortunately. So what's the verdict? Would a widescreen Avatar be possible at this moment? Sorta. You would definitely need some actual artists on board to clean up the AI and most importantly do movement things such as Momo's ears. But really, what I did wasn't necessarily hard or skillful. It just took some time. So that means really anyone could help out. Some are nostalgic for the classic 4:3 frame, and many would say it would ruin the original design. But yes, a widescreen adaptation would have to be just that, a slight adaptation. So I have even got to AI upscaling or fixing the outdated commercial breaks, but that can be for another video. As always, thanks for watching.